In the executive suite, there's a culture that's created that has a camaraderie that's unique, but very similar to other types of environments. Like, for example, the locker room of a high-performance basketball team that the players have played together for a long time. The same is true with the C-suites in executive companies, where the key executives get together and they're strategists, they're tacticians, they're creating plans. And one would think that over a period of time, with the successes they have, they know each other really, really well. Well, on one occasion, I was brought into a situation by a client of mine where I got to know some of his VPs. And unfortunately, regretfully, one of his VPs died of a heart attack. And I was invited, like most of the key people, to not only the funeral, but the wake at the widow's home. And beautiful home, great wood paneling, traditional kinds of stuff, with the den and the sitting rooms and the big entryway with the huge ceilings and great accoutrements. When I walked into his den, I noticed across the top of the mantle of the fireplace were all of these decoy ducks. I mean, extremely well-detailed decoy ducks. You could tell that they were hand-done, like most decoy ducks are, but in this case by an artisan, someone who really captured the feeling and flair of the animal in the duck and the coloring. And as I'm looking at him, the CEO, my client, comes over to me and says, "These are amazing. These are awesome." And his wife, the widow, comes over and says, "Yes, my husband was a real advocate of duck hunting and loved to duck hunt. And more importantly, he loved to carve his own decoys." And there was a silence in the conversation. The CEO was just dumbfounded. You could just see on his face how strucken he was. And he looked at the widow and he said, "I really have to apologize. I had no idea the talent my friend had. I am regretful that I did not know him at a level that I only profess to have known him at." And tears started coming down his face, and it was such a moment for me about the depth of what one can understand about people, and that we many times think we know and perceive something that is not as much based in reality as we think it is. And the next words out of his mouth were, "I regret that we lost that potential and never tapped it." Now, subsequent to that, IBM has created many surveys about the things that are essential for CEOs and executive officers to do. And one of those things that in the 2010 survey they did was creativity. And every time I look at that survey or think about what's essential to developing the skills of anyone, creativity is always part of that. And a mallard duck decoy tends to come to mind as the imagery for me.